Hello everyone, and welcome back to another live stream here on the twitch.tv/the Xisuma. We got the bananas in chat from 4Gil96. We got a noise in the ear from SakaJ90 for 31 months. Incredible, my dude. Chiwi Pepper, Big Fat Shrimp, Ye Old Envelope. Some of the peeps putting the bananas in the chat, letting me know that we're live. Peeps, the plan for today is to stock up some of our shops and then potentially run an experiment. I don't like the netherite helmet. I need like an invisible helmet mod. Anyway, the pre-stream music today was my own demo song that I've been working on. You may notice the name of that song is Runes of Dawn to Dusk. And today we're listening to Rune Realms. Oh, is there a connection? Yes. What I'm doing at the moment with music creation is just trying to get back like into learning how to use all the studio, writing music, music theory, all that kind of stuff. And the way to do that for me is to sort of come together with some ideas, some aesthetics, and then put them together, right? And that was one of the little demos that I did that I sort of fleshed out into an air quote song. It's like a little demo song, and I've got a few more of those in the works, and I think I'm just gonna like crack on with that and sort of brush up my skills from where I used to make music a long time ago. And yeah, Rune Realms was the inspiration for that song. And that is a slurp on a beautiful cup of coffee, not decaf. Brewed in the French press. I did not sleep. Well, actually, I slept pretty well. I just woke up. I went to bed late. Woke up early. Actually feel pretty good. I don't feel tired or anything. But I thought I'd treat myself to a stimulating coffee. But I've been busy. I woke up at like 6. And I've just been cleaning the house, basically. I'm going to do more of that today. It's Sunday, you know. Every couple of weeks, clean the house top to bottom. Enard says I still hear dogs. That'll be the dogs that are in my base. So I need to do some stocking up of the shops. That's what I'm on here for. I haven't been playing on Hermitcraft as much, but I'm going to have some projects. I'm going to do 3 different projects. Each their own episode. And the last project that I did, that episode will be coming out tomorrow. So you got that to look forward to. But yeah, I'm going to be doing 3 projects, and then after that I don't know. So I kind of want to get on here, make sure my shops are stocked up. I want to run a little experiment if we get time. Basically, you know, doing errands like we normally do. I just haven't been around as much. X, how confused were you in Cleo's game, says Light Soul. I don't know if anyone included it, but we were chatting after and I said like Among Us is like checkers and this game is like chess. Although more like 4D chess. I was so terrible at that game. And I had like the worst roll. Because if I ended up on the podium and getting executed, we lose the game. But I found it extremely difficult. Like, is this a new shop? It's not the kind of... I'm not really good at those kind of roleplay games to begin with. Oh, it's the trim shop. Having a role that's like dangerous, you know, if I get executed, the game's over. I didn't have any skills or abilities, and I was trying to suss out what the abilities of other shops. That's my floor, isn't it? What the abilities of other players and stuff would mean, but it's so difficult because anyone can lie. So I just found the whole thing. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. Interesting how that helped me see the problem there straight away. Yeah. What were we talking about? Pebbles says, to be honest, Cleo's game was hard for me to follow. Yeah, I imagine it, you know, getting it across to the audience is one thing. Being a player in the game, it was hard to follow as well. But like towards the end, as there was less and less people, it started to become a little clearer. I just feel like the next time I play, I'll have a better idea of what's going on. But, like, how do you get started in that game? Because anyone can lie. Oh my god, this shop has been like a wild success, and I have not been on the server enough. I came back here the other day, and it was like, oh my god, there's profits everywhere. I loved your game you made, says Pebbles. Oh yeah, we're going to play another round of that on Tuesday. If enough of the hermits turn up, I will be streaming it as well. So that's my plan for my Tuesday stream. Did I just open the one that someone had raided? And I'm like, oh my god, profits. It makes sense if it's the last one available. Now, when it comes to stocking up, I'm not really here for low stock, right? I'm not really here for stuff that's could potentially be better stocked back here. So I'm going to write down things that we're like desperately low on is sort of the idea. And then go find those materials, bring them back over here. Might start stocking up for some future projects as well too. Olivia White says your Obsidian box game is amazing. Glad people really love this game, and it's amazing to me because what you've seen of it so far is just like a basic implementation. This game idea can go much further, and I'm going to sort of develop it in steps, and the second step is being worked on. I'm going to be probably demoing that game with my Discord/Patreon community soon, and we're going to like grow it and just see where it goes naturally. Because you can do stuff like put ancient debris in, right? If you don't have to do a survival grind, and introduce netherite into the tech tree. So there's going to be a lot of rebalancing, sort of changing up the arena size, and working on that game. But what's wild is it's just a game idea that's like, why has it taken me so long to like bring this idea back to life? Honestly, it is as old as Bed Wars itself. It was just one of those other concepts we played around back in the beginning of all that. By the way, I'm very slow on today's stream here at the beginning because I just really want to enjoy this coffee. I think you probably got the short end of the stick with Cleo's game, as you got no information in the night, so didn't have much to go off from what others say, says Amos Rand. Yeah, I had a really tough roll, right? You're right, because every time the night passed, I kind of came back out and I was just, it was just the same. But then there was stuff like people were disappearing in the night, which I didn't really like clock onto, and other people's votes didn't count as well. And so the little bits of information that were coming through, I couldn't do much of it. And like, this game made my brain hurt. I spent ages like looking at all the rolls, trying to find clues. And there was like one or two that I could go off of. And then XB told me that he was the gravedigger. And then with that little bit of information, it didn't really like change anything in the environment. Therefore, he could be lying, right? Maybe I should try and make my own version of that sort of game that works with the way my brain works. Like there's always going to be a piece of information put in front of everyone each time, right? Man, I'm really enjoying that coffee. Let's go check the next bunch. Like, I'd like it if it were like a game where information appears for everyone each and every time. So you're always going to be able to, like, the game is going to, oh wait, we did that, advance in some sort of way each time. Now that means that we have made diamonds galore over here. Alright, shulker shells, good stuff. Oh, lots of copper, right. Oh, and we've got to remember one always, oh, that's the point. One always in the middle. Right, when it comes to aged copper, I really don't have much going for. This shop's been a roaring success. Since I've built it, I haven't been on here as much, and it's just been doing really good. I think one of the things that might help is a bit of a like all-in-one place. And because of that, because it's like an all-in-one place, you know, you can just kind of get like a whole bunch of stuff when you come here. You don't have to go to lots of different shops, and I think that helps sales probably. Oh yeah, it was a lot of copper, wasn't it? Could do really with sorting these other boxes of mine out a little bit. Have you seen any good live music lately? No, like live music has really just become, since the pandemic, has just sort of dropped off for me. It's a bit mad. I feel like I should get back into it, but I don't know. Every time like artists and stuff pop up on my feed, I just don't feel like going. Sort of falling out with that. How will you ever trust Impulse again after that minigame? Oh, dude, it was so difficult because, like, there was this moment where, like, I noticed that Iskall was, like, making a lot of accusations and saying a lot of stuff, and I just couldn't keep up with him. And I kind of thought, alright, go with your gut. Like, Iskall set off some sirens for me. And then I was like, I'm going to nominate him. And I'm just going to tell everyone else. He keeps changing his story. Like, this is suspicious. But that doesn't mean he's actually, you know, one of the bad team. So that went terribly. And I'll tell you what, when I was on that stand, the first time, I was sweating. I was feeling terrible. It was not good. I was too invested in the game. I was just like, oh god, I've somehow ended up like on the chopping board and I've like deliberately tried to not say anything because I don't want to get myself in trouble and lose the game for the team. And here I am being accused. Oh dear. It was very stressful. But funny at the same time, says Blue Sheen. Well, that's the thing. If y'all are gonna have a laugh of it, fine by me. Fine by me. That's a good thing, you know. I just found it stressful. Yeah, my brain really doesn't compute with those sorts of games. Iskall was the most chaotic player. You entertained us all, says Olivia White. I'm glad to hear that. I felt like I wasn't really playing as an entertainer. I was just, you know, sort of sitting there feeling miffed. Because, you know, I see everyone else going to step into their kind of like roleplay mode, having fun with the moment. And I couldn't do that because I just couldn't figure out what was going on. Ah, more of this beautiful coffee. Real on Apple says, maybe you'll have a better time with a different role. Who knows? Yeah, with a different role, maybe, because then, like, with other roles, you have abilities that you can start to act on, whereas my one was sort of like, you know, don't get yourself killed. And yeah, there's nothing else to do on it, really. Olivia says, oh, I thought it was funny. I thought you were being deliberately inscrutable. Inscrutable. To scrutinize, to critique. So I was being deliberately incredible. Like, I wasn't, basically. I just wanted to think through that word that you've used there. No, I was really out of my depth. Like, I've talked a bit about this in the past, but it gives me, like, things like that give me brain fog. Like, if you put, like, a Sudoku puzzle in front of me, I just start, you know, figuring it out, and that's fun. If you put a cryptic crossword in front of me, it gets me, like, really frustrated and gives me brain fog. Like, I can do things that are more literal and numeric or calculatable than I can. Okay, right, we need a list. I'm gonna start to write things on the list. So, aged copper, of which I do not have a lot, needs to come back over here. If you do like social / things that don't really have like hard rules or edges, that's usually like a scenario in which my brain can just sort of like fog up. And that was basically it. I was really struggling to make sense of like anything that was going on, how I factor it into all these different rules about the characters, and not get my team killed in the process. That's what I was going through. And so I was certainly not playing inscrutable. I was just kind of trying to push through that brain fog and figure some things out, which I didn't really do until like the very end, when it came down to me, Impulse, and Iskal. Then I was kind of like saying a little bit more and defending myself, I hope, because then it really was like, oh, okay, bit of a lifeline moment. We could bring over a box of fire charges. I think I got that line round. Okay, let's do that. Me too. Brain fog, says Olivia Wright. Yeah. Yeah, it's like when frustration just sort of like clouds everything. And it becomes hard to think. Anna Miles says, I could easily tell you just confused because I'm exactly the same with games like this. Yeah. It's one of your strengths usually. Me? What's one of my strengths usually? I feel like I was just describing everything I struggled with in that game, and I was totally not surprised myself that that game gave me brain fog. Sniper 1974 is here for 89 months. Evil X in his house, an incredible amount of months. Really do appreciate you supporting me all these years, my dude. Also, Dante Redeye was here for 44 months. 13 minutes ago. I've been naughty, haven't I? We need like a... Oh wait, there is an emote for this in a ways. You know, I apologise, Dante. I was chasing those butterflies. I was distracted deeply by the waffles and the pancakes. Yeah, thanks so much for the continued support, peeps. I am the Doctor, here for 14 months with the Amazon Prime, and Pebbles subscribing for 5. I try to catch your lives when I can. I love all the conversations you have with the chat. I love the conversations too, yeah. It's one of your strengths usually being a team player. Oh wow, okay, that's an interesting insight. Yeah, I'm a team player. That makes sense to me that you would see me that way. I am like surprisingly a competitive person, but I feel like I'm just competing with myself. So if it's a team game, you know, I'm down to like try hard and give it my all for the team and that. But I don't get like upset about anything. I want a challenge to be fun and interesting, right? Okay, we're writing down Dark Prismarine now. This is where we've got to visit our farms and craft stuff. So for me, like, the challenge is usually against myself. Did I do my best? That kind of thing. And so I'm never sore really about losing. And so that probably makes me like an easy teammate, as I'm not going to be like riled up about you know, someone messing up or anything like that. Like, I'm always easy. Like, if we played a game and, like, you know, oh, did really amazing all together all the way to the end, and then at the last minute someone did something really stupid that they should have avoided, I just, like, why get upset about it? It's just a game, right? Like, we make games for ourselves, I think, in the absence of the game of survival, right? Once man is out from the depths of surviving, the harshness of survival, right? Once you're away from that game, then we make games, right? It's what we do. We beat Mother Nature, and then we're like, oh, we need games to play. By the way, I'm doing a bad job here juggling. I now have all the obsidian in the world to stock up. I might have some more crying obsidian to leave over here as well. I'll do. I think it was 6 stacks, wasn't it? Yeah, so once the game, you know, of survival is solved, we create other games for ourselves, and I couldn't be bothered to be upset about like losing those sorts of games, right? Usually there isn't really anything that important on the line, you know. Like if you're into, oh wait, why did I get 1 stack? If you're into like following a sports team and stuff, like I've done that, and in the past I've been like emotionally invested, and it hurts you when things are bad. And I started to ask myself, like, why am I so invested in this? Like, why should I feel like really emotionally negative when my life's not on the line, right? Like, it's not actually that serious. And so then I pivoted my attitude towards that sort of stuff, and I don't get as invested in sports and whatnot. And it's the same for if we do like stuff in Minecraft and play, you know, I'm probably going to play some Tunnel Rats, or we play a mini game on the server. I'm here to try my best and have fun, and like getting upset about it doesn't make sense to me. So I think as a teammate, I'm not going to be that guy who's like pushing you hard and super competitive. So I'm probably like an easy person to be on a team with. I didn't get people being this emotionally invested in sports until I started watching MCC, says Zinoba. Yeah, MCC is, you know, an esport, I guess, so you can see why people get invested. But Potato, thank you ever so much for 32 months. Appreciate it, my dude. Appreciate it. Thank you for your continued support. I think you know, tribalism, I think, is a word that we often use negatively in our modern context. But I think there are positive aspects to things like this. It's like nationalism. I used to be like sort of really dead against nationalism and national identity. I sort of saw it as being problematic. And I saw the negatives of it, but never really considered the positives. Like, national identity can allow you and a stranger to sort of get along because you've got that shared identity, right? It can be a stepping off point for finding a connection with other people. So, you know, there's positives all over and negatives in lots of different things, right? So in tribalism, there's probably like positives to that too. And I think, you know, again, with all our not all of our needs, but with many of our needs met in this current day and age that we're living in, sports and competition, I think, just kind of perhaps fills in some like deep tribal need or whatever, you know, going back to those days. Let's call this hopper mine craft cart. Now that doesn't do what I thought it was going to do. Interesting. Hopper minecart, hopper with minecart. Huh. This is very confusing because sometimes this system refers to the language and sometimes it refers to the... So I know there's another item in this game, this one right here, where it will refer to... I didn't actually need to take that out of there. I just need an empty shulker box. Oh yeah, here's another thing we could do, like tidy up these shulker... no one's commented on it yet, but my next episode of Hermitcraft is about changes to how the storage system works and looks. And there's actually like some of it, every time you see shulker boxes with icons on, you're actually seeing some of those changes. You just might not realize it because you're seeing it in other contexts already before. I'll show you a little bit more in just a second of that, right? But as I was waffling, yeah, so like when I talk about rearranging these chests a little bit, like look at how nice it is when you put all the shulker boxes together. It's like easy access to something. Like you just look at it and you know what's what. My shulker boxes were down here. Oh yeah, that's the thing. And now they're not. I just want a shulker box to rename, but everything's got something in it. And like, well, one of those is empty. This one. Oh my god, that's all I ever needed. Right. Okay. Chicken! What the heck is that? What the heck is that? How is that possible? I could have swore I also saw it like flicker. Oh my god. Buttercup. Ah. Right, okay. So I am having like the craziest time with figuring out how to get this stuff to work with both like other resource packs. So currently it uses 5 resource packs to display things correctly, and I am encountering all sorts of weird issues along the way. So, like, in order to get this, and something else that some of you have picked up on maybe... Oh, it doesn't work now. What? Again. Oh. Have I found, like, an edge case that I've not seen before? So if I go over here and type in that... Now that I swapped it, that did not work a minute ago, did it not? That's the way it's supposed to work, but it also seems to work... So it's working with language files in some contexts and not with others. It is a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, we just moved the resource pack round and now it works differently again. So it's like, you just derped last time, says Lucaro. Surely not. Surely not, because didn't I type it in and then go back and put the of? Okay, I might have made a spelling mistake. But then... that means that works too, right? So language works as well as the actual name, but then in the world it doesn't. So I don't know what's causing that. The good thing is it's supposed to work this way, so it's not like it's not working the correct way. And it works that way in the world, and it'll do it if that's the only item in there. So the name of the shulker box is overriding, but if it's the only item, it'll just display whatever that is. So if we go look at some ones that haven't been renamed, you'll see because there's only one item, it puts it in there. So that's good. And the thing with the chicken was that... Chicken! Right, that is raw chicken, language name. So if I do that, it'll display it. And if I put this down, it doesn't. Interesting. Oh, so we've discovered that language is being displayed as well as raw name, but only in the GUI. That's really curious. Anyway, hopper, minecart. That is our icon for that. And if you're not following along, don't worry about it. It's confusing. I am, you know, just messing around with the system. So, like, no one pointed out this, okay? By the way, noises in the ear, Jolkip. For 94 months, getting close to that 100. Evil X is going to lock you up in the dungeon, my dude, at this rate. Oh boy, this number just keeps on growing. Thank you, my dude, for such tremendous support. We got, again, 1411 subscribing. Thank you for supporting me and what I do. And, yeah, look at that. Right? Pikachu Cake says, how is this mod called? I just joined and this was probably told before. No, it wasn't. I've actually not mentioned this much. I've just started talking about it. I was kind of curious if anyone would, like, pick up on noticing that it's not as it was before, that there's some differences here. Again, I'm going to shuffle around my inventory a little bit. That is... This box could be tidied up, actually. I'm going to tidy it up. Most of the stuff has a place to go. Right, so that goes into my ender chest. Totem of Undying. I don't really have a spot for those. So, along with the changes that you see here, if you check out the next episode of Hermitcraft... I'll just eat those things next, actually. You will see... what you... I was just about to put a player head in here and see what it... Oh, look at that! Okay. Okay, that does make a lot of sense that it would do that. That one needs some work. When you see the next episode of Hermitcraft, so much more stuff about this will make sense. But one of the ideas was to sort of create an ultimate storage system. Now that is most curious. Despite... Oh no, it's not reading the MBT data, so the whole box is full of player heads, and therefore it displays it like that in the GUI, which is back to front. That's an interest... I'm going to write that on my list. Okay. I am so caught in the waffles here. Like, I'm going to come back to that question about... Like, can you get your hands on this, basically, was the question. Oh, and some of what I need to pick up is already here, right? So like we'll go ahead and move over these. This could actually be sold in the other category now. In the one where you just buy a whole box. And there's the fire charge, so we got that. And I didn't think about stocking up any... Oh, I didn't go and check up my bulks, actually. Right, that's another one. Okay, I think I'll go back over there and do the bulks so I don't get too distracted by stuff going on here, basically. Do we have any of these other materials that are... Let me check my list again. Prismarine stuff, aged copper. Yeah, I'm on it, I'm on it. So, okay, so stepping back a little bit. Yeah, the end goal of what I've been showing you is like a new ultimate storage system, which you'll see in that episode. And it's like a rethinking of everything that I've done so far and orienting it around this technology. But this technology is made possible by a mod on the server. Now, to explain the sort of ethic of how we do this on Hermitcraft, it tends to be a case of, first of all, we like share ideas, what we want to do with mods to each other. So if someone's like, hey, I want to use Lightmatica, it's a group discussion. And we just got a noise in the air. I'll come back to that in a second. Just want to stay on this tangent for a second. Now, what tends to be a sort of rule, like a line in the sand, is that we don't want to add anything modded that you can't experience the same world because of. So when you download and play the world download, you won't see all of this unless you're using the mods, right? But that's not an issue because we're not fundamentally changing the world and what's in it. So the mod that we have will now send an additional piece of information to the client when the world downloads. So that's why I logged out a minute ago. This doesn't happen in vanilla. It also won't affect anyone who's playing on a vanilla client. So for me, there's a little bit of extra information now that the mod on my end picks up on, and then it can display all of this. And this is done using the Peak mod, which is made by Henkel Max. Okay, now the mod by default does not display items like in here. So when we got this developed, this was made with like aesthetics in mind. And the Trident has an interesting edge case actually. If I put it over here, you'll see it displays really big. So there are multiple ways of displaying things with Peak, and what I've been working on is getting that consistency between this look right here and then bringing it into the world. And that's why there's like a bunch of edge cases. One of which I might be able to show you actually. If I just grab an empty shulker box, put that here, put this in there, you can see it displays differently, right? So we're currently working on improving the resource pack for that. And I don't know if this stuff is going to be like officially supported. So because there are various people working on these mods and these resource packs, it's up to them if they want to publish their work and support it for other people. And so because of that, you know, I don't know if it's going to be released in one capacity or another. What I'm doing right now is quite hacky. We've got like multiple tests and tricks in resource packs to create this end product. And I'm still finding issues with it, right? So it's currently not, I don't know if it's going to be released, right? Like, that's what you got to remember, is that when people work on something and it's their work, like, it's kind of up to them. So although I'm putting this stuff in my videos and showing you what's possible, it doesn't necessarily mean you'll be able to do it too. So some of this stuff has been released. I believe the GUI stuff has been released, but not the Peak stuff yet. However, you can use Peak's default packs and it displays differently, so there are options. And I'm hoping we'll get it to a point where it's really good, polished, and the author will want to publish it. And then y'all can use it as well, basically. So that's kind of where we're at with all of that. I've come back here to check up on our other stock, by the way. So, like, this was used incorrectly. That's now not quite as full as it should be. I don't actually need to check the other ones because it doesn't really make much of a difference. If we jump around the back... Okay, so the idea is that this shows me when we're low on stock. Now, that means I got an AFK farm bones. I don't think I've got a stockpile. We can pick up some more soul sand. Okay, yeah, so nether bricks need picking up. Right, this is what I got to write down now. Soul sand, nether bricks need stocking up. This one, gold, and that one, skulk. So gold and skulk. And I may or may not fill them up, depends on how much time we got, because when we're done stocking up around here, I'm going to run a little experiment, and I don't know how long that's going to take me. Anyway, we had some gifted subs. Bell Steven, thank you so much for your generosity, supporting our community. PC Wizcraft, Viad0, Sign Beald, Father of Apocalypse, PSGMND, Yolbin gifted subs. Be sure to say thank you in that chat. We appreciate you, Bell Steven. Thank you for supporting me and our community and what we do. Sky Cloud says X time. It's X time. Yeah, that's what it is. Right, so we didn't get any of that. Oh, I should probably get a little bit more quartz if we're going to head to the place where quartz is. I think it was the floor below that had obsidian and crying obsidian, and fire charges might have been up here too. Let's go to the floor below. Ah! Thought I was gonna fall all the way down that hole then. Okay, uh-huh. Yeah, there you go. So we're all stocked up over here. Look at that, beautiful. Tons of stock. I'll literally give that away. Guys, if ever you're watching someone stream on Hermitcraft and they're like, oh boy, I need a load of materials, and you know that I built a farm for it, like, please do let them know that I am here to help. Like, if someone just needs a stupid amount of frog lamps, like, let them know they can just come and take this stuff, right? The shop is fun, but ultimately, I just want you know, the hermits to take advantage of all these things that I've managed to accumulate lots of. And so if they want to do a project that requires like a stupid amount of that stuff, like, let's help them do it, you know? I'm also just editing my notes again for all the materials, okay? So now I think we'll head to the Nether farm, and then we'll probably go to the Skulk farms as well, the Prismarine farm. Well, they're both, aren't they? Skulk and Prismarine. I love that we comboed that. That was a cool idea. I'll tell you what, 1.20 didn't really like add or change a lot of farming. I feel like when you're this deep into a season and an update comes out, it's really nice to have some like new technical challenges and farming, and we just didn't really get anything with 1.20. See, you care about the community, says Olivera White. I care deeply about Hermitcraft. Like, it's really hard to quantify such a thing. But Hermitcraft is just deeply entangled in a transformation personally in my life, a moment in time to do something amazing with other people and for all of you watching, and is really just like something you could have never have planned or anticipated or dreamed of being a part of, yet like here it is. And so, you know, my attitudes change and shift with time, and new ideas enter your minds and yada yada yada. My attitude is just like to try and be of service to the others and to try and help, you know? So sometimes that just means doing stuff in game, and other times it means stuff outside of the game. So like, if someone's got a problem connecting to the server, or they got a problem with a mod, you know, if I've got the time, I'm gonna try and help. That's my attitude. Because, oh, by the way, I'm switching to standing. Let's use the opportunity to enjoy some animation. Because, you know, this is a blessing, and like, I don't know, like, you'll never want to feel like you took that moment for granted, or you could have done better. So like, don't let it go down to chance. Just do your best whenever you can. Just try and keep that in your head, like, do your best with this moment in time that you're... Let's just take all of this stuff that you're currently experiencing. Like, if you can, like, try and keep that thought, like, sort of up front in your brain, like, do your best. You're not always going to have the energy to do your best, right? But every time that you do, that can be immense. If you can just take what you're doing and get that thought of, like, try and do your best in there, because you'll currently do that thing better than you would if you were going to do it casually, right? So it's kind of like that with Hermitcraft. It's like, if someone needs help and I can be helpful, like, let's get on that and do that. That's how I am in all aspects of my life, with gaming, IRL, always helping others, says Pebbles. That's awesome, my dude. Yeah, it's what I strive to do. I might not always do it, you know. Like, I can be pretty allergic to people sometimes and just want to be, you know, isolated or insular in some way or another. But, like, if I can get the thought in my head, then you have the opportunity to be better. Wow! That is an insane amount of gold that comes over here. All of that could be bartered. I'll fill up this box. Oh. Dang it! It's going to be super slow. Anyway, what I'm talking about as well, it's not something you're always going to achieve. You have your bad days. You can be moody. You can, you know, forget that that's your goal sometimes. But, like, the idea is to come back to it as much as you can. Just to sort of get back on that path. Right, that'll do us. We've got our materials from this. Xisuma, is that attitude towards Hermitcraft mutual within the group, or does it feel like you're pulling the train some way in regards to being someone seen as the group leader? Like, there are no equal participants in a group, right? Like, it's like ideas like fairness and equality. They're things that you strive towards, but, like, just reality is never going to be equal or fair. Maybe if you're reductive and you condense things into, I don't know, like a game of checkers, but then, you know, who goes first or whatever. Like, you can't ever achieve these things, and I think if you think that that's the goal, to have that kind of equality, you may just miss the moment. So, like, not everyone operates and behaves the same way inside of the group, and if you overthink that stuff or analyze it, like, you're just gonna basically just overthink. Like, everyone in this group loves being a part of it, but everyone's got different strengths and things that they bring to the group, and so, like, just because this is my attitude doesn't mean it has to be anyone else's attitude, right? Let's see. Let's go around to the next. Wait, was there? Nope, that was all of it. Okay, quartz. We'll drop most of this stuff up here. And then the other ones, I think leather and some arrows are over here. I kind of want some more arrows in my base because I like using the spectral arrows. I need to stock them up every so often. Put another leather here. I've got loads of leather at my base as well. We made a cow farm for that, and then it was like, oh, do you know what? Let's take that with us, because where we're going next, we're going to craft up a bunch of stuff, aren't we? Yeah, spectra. I mean, this stuff ain't going to run out, is it? So some of this stuff I will just put back in my base. And I think gravel is the one that we stock up over in the mass area. People are always in a group for their own reasons. It's learning to adapt to everyone that's the key, says Witherfox. Yeah, I would say so. What's that doing there? Oh, thanks. I missed that earlier, big time, didn't I? Why did someone do that? Maybe Maybe they just misunderstood how the system worked. That's probably the best conclusion, really. They just misunderstood how that worked. Seems very apt. Because they only had to pay 1 diamond block for that. What's this chest? Skulk. Oh, we sell that en masse over here. Okay, well, we'll take that with us. Guess I might just leave that in here. Yeah, gravel is one that's already fully stocked. If ever we need to put more of that... I might just leave this in my base, this gravel, actually. And then tell someone to grab it from there if they need it. Right, off we go. So yeah, okay, so like, again, with groups, like... Speaking back to equality and fairness, if you ever start like looking at a group of people and trying to map that out, like it'll immediately fall apart. And if you're not like thinking about it from a mature kind of perspective, like for example in Hermitcraft, there's you know, people who bring in millions of views and people who bring in thousands of views, right? Like that's one way you could look at it. Now, if you start trying to weigh that up in a group, like you're just going to create a disaster. And so Hermitcraft doesn't operate this way. It's like a friendship group, you know, and all the differences between one another aren't things to be measured. If anything, they're something to be embraced. Everyone's got something different that they bring to the group, right? And yeah, and so like if you're in a group, these are really important things to consider. It's just that once you start trying to make things equal, you're gonna have a bad time. Okay, put this in here. Put the gravel over here. Which one do I put gravel in? I think it's this one. Yeah, there you go. You can see there's already some chests of gravel up here. I think there's some more in the bulk storage as well. Mob drops, string. Another reason I want to like rearrange stuff. It's just to get all those nice boxes together. Nice and easy to look at now. But anyway, like this deep into the season, I'm not too bothered about this. But next season, it's given me some real ideas, especially with me creating this storage system. I never dropped off the gold while we were there. Dang it. We'll be heading back, so I'll get that done. Okay, wait, spectral arrows with quartz can go here. Oh, dang it! I didn't realize I had so much quartz. Okay, lever. I know where lever goes. This chest over here. Spectral arrows in this one. Okay, so yeah, we're going to go do these two. Gold we just forgot to put away. And let's see. We want to pick up some shulker boxes. That's what we want to do. I don't know how many we're going to need, but we can always craft more. So I think that's probably too much, actually. Let me check my list again. So we need dark prismarine, sea lanterns, prismarine, and then soul sand. Unfortunately, we didn't have more of. Neither did we have nether bricks. I might have some here, so I might just go check that quickly. We've got the gold ingots, and then it's skulk and quartz. So yeah, there's my little list. Nether bricks, and then we'll head off to the next farm. There they are. I knew I had some. I think I got like a partial somewhere as well. Yeah, there's a partial. So we could quite easily fill that up. And then put it back. Cool. Plant Addy says morning. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to all the peeps tuning in. Got 460 peeps with us this morning. Be sure to hit the follow button if you're enjoying the stream. I have a very exciting Hermitcraft stream Tuesday. Hopefully enough hermits will turn up to play the second round of Tunnel Rats, and I'll be streaming the perspective that I had on the game, which was watching and listening to both teams. And that was... wait, that's... That's tunnel rats. Started talking about it, went to the portal. Makes sense. We're going to this one over here. That's just that, like, automated part of your brain kicking in. Oh, we're talking about that. Let's head over here. Now, this is the entrance, I think. There's a block missing now. Yeah, that'll be my Tuesday stream. Wednesday's a snapshot. Monday, I'm not streaming. Friday? So, like, Tuesday and Friday are probably my next streams. Ow. Rude. Okay, we got God's Read gifting a sub to Monsieur Nothing. Thank you for gifting a sub and supporting our community, my dude. Much appreciated. Monsieur Nothing, be sure to say thanks in the chat. Now, Monsieur is fresh. Doesn't it mean, like, man? I think, like man and madame. These logos are great, like, on the boxes. Now at a glance, it's like, oh, I know. Ah, noises. Where's our minecart? Oh, you know what? This is very typical of this game. You leave a farm alone, or you haven't visited in ages. You come back and it's like, oh, maybe it's actually fine, and I just needed to hit that lever. I think that's actually it. I think it was fine, and I just forgot that there was an on-off lever. That sounds way more like it. Okay. See, we've got some Skulk and Skulk Veins. I don't actually need to stock up Skulk Veins. And I don't know... I think... Oh, no, there's some lying around. Okay. Well, we'll just have to pick out whatever we can find. I had a feeling that I might not have actually farmed any in a while, but it looks pretty obvious that there's plenty. So we can put another box into the system for anyone who needs Skulk, hopefully. And we'll craft up sea lanterns and all sorts. Will there be another charity stream playing in the minigame district, says 47M4D. Now, I think that's gotten away from us. I think we've talked about it, but then we haven't really put anything in stone, and the date has crept up on us. Because isn't it October or September last year? Look, I'll make a note and bring it up with the hermits, because I know that we have not talked about that in a little bit, and that date will creep up on us. I'm very, like... I was going to use the word pushy, but I think that's probably a good word in this case. Like, when it comes to getting stuff done as a group, I am really pushy. I am like, let's keep talking about it, let's keep moving the needle. I'm like, if there's something that needs doing, I'll be, like, pestering about it. Not so much with the charity thing, though, because that's not my forte. But, like, other stuff that happens, like, let's say, you know, we need this thing done within the group. I'm, like, trying to keep on top of it, because I've noticed that it's really easy to just... Unless you're going to be on top of something, like, time will just tick by, and stuff won't get done. That's something that I've learned. You really want to stay on top of anything that's, like, needs to be done by a certain date, because otherwise, like, time just ticks by and people forget, you know, and everyone's busy. So, you know, now I'm going to start pestering about the charity stuff. I'm going to be like, peeps, what's happening with the charity thing? We haven't talked about it in a while. The date's coming up, you know. You don't want to do anything last minute. You want to be, like, prepared best you can. Wither Fox, thank you so much for your prime. Jack Apex, thank you for the prime as well. 2 primes coming through. Appreciate you. Appreciate you both using that on me. Thank you so much. I would use persistent, but pushy is good too. Yeah, I can imagine I just come off as... Well, actually, persistent probably is better. Like, pushy's a bit more like when someone says they don't want to, and then you keep going on about it. It's not like that. I'm just like... Every beat that happens, I'm keeping it on my mind. I think actually, like, it might be a bit of a problem. Like, I cannot stop my brain from ticking over with all the things that we're doing. You know? Like, if we make plans or an event's coming up, my brain is always just reminding myself of that. So yeah, it's just... Maybe it's, like, a good thing. You know, someone's thinking about it. Better than no one thinking about it, right? True, sadly, our server we had for 4 years, Happycraft, has died or slowed to a crawl, says Fantastic. It happens with a lot of SMPs, unfortunately. You know, Hermitcraft's been a bit blessed to somehow make it through. And I think one of the things is that you've got to lead by example and, you know, be active yourself and encourage other people to come along for the ride, essentially. Doopy29, thank you for 2 months. Tunnel Rats was fun. Yeah, it was. How do y'all like that name, by the way? Thank you for the support, my dude. Thank you for 2 months. Like, that was a last-minute name. I was just thinking, like, it's Bed Wars Underground. We never had a name for it. It was just simple. We just flipped that out. Oh, phantoms again. They just don't stop over here. There's even a roof here to stop them. Aha. Yeah, I had a feeling that might work. Y'all like the name? Great name. Thanks. It really does work. Maybe that's why I don't need to overthink it, right? If it's the first thing that popped into my head, maybe that's just... That works. That's good. But yeah, Tunnel Rats. Also, it was mentioned to me that... I think there's a term for Tunnel Rats, something to do with the Vietnam War, right? Maybe there was like tunneling and setting off bombs and yeah, and the Tunnel Rats was the name or whatever, but like obviously there's no connection. Now, it reminded me of something that I've been thinking about that I like to say to people is that like every now and then there's some sort of like name that gets linked to a controversy, and I think it's super important that intent is understood. When you name something, right, and it happens to line up with maybe something sensitive, it doesn't necessarily mean that the intention of naming it that is related in any way. Now, that's not to say, therefore, it's like, okay, don't worry about it. But sometimes the climate seems to be like, hey, this thing is linked to something controversial. That's terrible, you know. Now we need to silence you or whatever is a general kind of vibe that I get when I see this stuff happen online. And what I actually think is like, it's an opportunity to educate. And I always feel like education is the better way forward, is to inform and make people more knowledgeable. So it's like, okay, so let's say you got this name and it's linked to something unfortunate. Like, the thing isn't to cancel it or get rid of it. It's like, it's an opportunity to inform people. Hey, that thing that you know about that's got this name, it was linked. Well, not that it was linked, but, you know, it shares a name with this other thing in the past. And, like, you should know about both of them so you understand the context, right? Like, that's the way we should proceed with these things. I think people are smart and compassionate, and they just need to be informed. They just need to know more, right? Because then, I don't know, maybe it's like you're raving about this game that you've been playing, that you're at dinner with someone, and you realise, oh, their ethnicity makes them sensitive to this topic. And then it gives you the opportunity to be like, hey, I know this might be a bit sensitive. I've been playing this game. It just happens to be called this. You know, and then that's all you ever need, right? I feel like there's so many things that I see going on. Just feels like sometimes all you need is just to be informed, not to, I don't know, sort of like wage war on anything that happens to touch something sensitive. You know, just let's inform people. Boots says, during the Vietnam War, Tunnel Rat became an unofficial speciality for volunteer and combat engineers and infantrymen from the Australian Army and the US Army who cleared and destroyed enemy tunnel complexes. Yeah, you see, that doesn't sound particularly sensitive, right? But what if it was like a derogatory term towards the enemy, right? And then ethnicity gets tied up in with that, right? In this case, it's probably perfectly fine to call it Tunnel Rats. But it did strike me as one of those things where if I found out that like Tunnel Rats was actually like a derogatory term, it probably wouldn't surprise me, because it does sound like you could use it. You could call someone a tunnel rat or something. It's got a little bit of that to it. Slurp, someone says. Yeah, sorry, I just sipped some water. Hydration. Hydrate, peeps. Drink lots of fluids. Now, the other thing that I need to make is dark prismarine, so we're going to have to take some boxes back with us. Unfortunately, compassion has gone missing, at least thirst, though. We need proper conversation, says Mr. Chunkrock. I agree. I also think we need to perhaps... I love this song by Black Flag, Rise Above, right? You gotta rise above, you gotta rise above. And like the song is like talking about other things, I don't know, that you can see in society or whatever, and about rising above it. At least that's the way I always kind of heard that song. So in my mind, like, it's easy to sort of focus your attention on when you see those things out there, and it's like, oh man, people aren't being compassionate or giving other people some leeway, or like, why can't we have a conversation about this instead of this kind of like, I'm right, you're wrong attitude. Like, to rise above that is to just like do the other thing, right? Regardless of what other, like, don't get dragged into it, essentially. So my attitude when I'm saying this, that I want to see more, well, I'm also like trying to do that as well, right? Like by sharing this idea, and then if something comes up, like you name a game and it's got a sensitive topic attached to it, you can inform and educate and whatnot. And so that's like your opportunity to be different. And there are those of us out there that aren't getting dragged into all this kind of air quotes toxic environment online. Feels like the online brings the worst out of us. And when you go back into IRL, it's... Currently drinking Coke, because don't like water, but still, hydration, peeps, hydrate. Don't be like me, says Luna the dragon. Dude, just like, even if you don't like it, like, you got a whole life in front of you, right? Just for a week, just drink water for a week, and nothing else. And see what happens. Because I love drinking water. Like, I can't tell you it like tastes great. To me, it's not like a taste thing. It's like my body knows the water is good. That is not a taste sensation. That is like a, oh, I'm getting that vital fluid. I like it. I love drinking water. Blue Bottles 77, 83 months, incredible numbers. Thank you, my dude, for continuing to support. Do I still use Shulkerbox tooltips? Yes, you can see Shulkerbox tooltips being used every time we look at a Shulkerbox. Right, let's go over here. Grab all of this stuff. We're going to use that to make dark prismarine. I think that's all the prismarines. Oh, there's prismarine bricks, but I don't think that ever made it to my list. It didn't. So yeah, we just need to nab the last of this stuff, and then we're good. I see any skulk blocks? Actually, we filled up a whole box, so maybe we don't actually need any more of that. I have a hint of lemon in the water, says Dr. Frosky. You could. I think just... I think if you just go straight water, like... If it's all you're going to drink over the course of a week, then you'll probably find yourself not seeing it as like, oh, a tasty beverage, but more like this thing you need. And because it's the only thing you're drinking, you'll want to drink it more when you genuinely need it. You know, your body will send out that signal, you'll be thirsty. And then it will quench your thirst, right? Like, it will properly quench it. And then like, you know, you might want to stick with drinking lots of water, right? Those Cokes and fizzy drinks are so bad because you just give yourself like a little sugar, you know, a little sugar rush, and then your body has to bring out the insulin to deal with it, and then this is how people become, you know, diabetic or pre-diabetic, or you weaken your body's ability to deal with all that sugar because you keep just giving yourself little dumps of it throughout the day. And it's linked to all the bad stuff like aging, you know. There's not a lot good that comes from doing that constantly. And a lot of people, they can see like results just by giving up the sugary drinks alone. And you know, juice, like fruit juice, is just as bad really as having fizzy drinks and stuff too. And the sodium in soft drinks, says Turbohand. I don't really know about that because there's so many, like, you know, chemicals, like what's an apple? It's a bunch of chemicals at some level, right? Like, these things are in everything, and I have fasting salts when I get out of my sauna because your body has just sweated out a bunch of electrolytes. And I think sodium and like magnesium or something like these names of metals and salts and stuff that you learned in school are in the fasting salts, and it just sort of, it makes you go, oh right, like you kind of think about those differently. And I don't know if sodium is one of them, so I wouldn't comment particularly on the sodium. Maybe there's enough of it that it's too much to have, because I do know with certain things there's like recommendations as to how much you should actually have. The Shriekers somehow always find a way to spook me. I never expect them. They just got that kind of sound, my dude. They just got that creepiness to them, right? That's how they get you. They get you by being creepy. Right, let's look for the ink. So yeah, some of these are renamed and then they're empty, right? So in the future, we don't really want to rename them. I don't think I need that many at once, do I? And I can't remember if you can still use the ink sacs in the recipe. Don't look like it. You have to now change it to that. Why did the Dark Prismarine just come out? Shriekers have the best sound in the game. Prove me wrong. Well, I mean, it's your preference, right? I can't prove to you that you don't think it's the best sound in the game. That's for sure. Sodium makes you thirsty and thus makes you want more of the soda. Your thirst is never quenched. Water quenches your thirst, as Turbohand. Ah, got ya. Yeah. That's another thing, is like, so much food is engineered to be addictive. I just try and avoid as much of that like processed food as I can. I have gone like a couple of months eating pretty darn clean. I haven't had my little zonk out days. I've been really good this summer, and like I think part of it is because I've been making music. Like it feels like I can go all day now just doing everything I need to do and not needing like distraction and all of that, because I'm like fulfilling that creative energy through doing music. That feels like it's been a huge shift for me. And so I stopped having these little zonk out days where I would have like pizza and ice cream. And ironically, I had one yesterday. I just gave myself one because I'm like, it's been a couple of months, and like, go on then. I watched Dune, and that movie was awesome. Like, the remake is so good because I've seen like the original, and like it really failed to like rope me in and get me invested. Like the world and the politics of it and the whole setup, the space opera seemed like quite interesting, but it just failed to bring me in. And the remake totally did that. I loved it. I can't wait for the second part. It's just really, really well done. Sort of modernized it and gave it a vibe. You know, it was really well acted. You could get invested in the characters. I loved it. So I did that yesterday. But my takeaway from it was just like, I don't need this anymore. But also, after I ate my my pizza and my Halo Top and some crisps and stuff, like I just felt like that weird sugary rush, and I hadn't felt it in a long time. And I couldn't really like walk it off either. And it just reminded me like, yeah, this is like, you can get used to this and not notice it. And so I'm kind of thinking I'm going to stave off that whole have a treat, a pizza, and watch a movie thing as much as I can. And like, if I feel like I need it, something's wrong. And I also don't want to do it for like dietary reasons, I guess. You know, for health reasons, perhaps. Right, we got plenty of that. Empty boxes here to drop off, and we finish stocking up our shops for now. Then we've got to go get some copper and do an experiment. Armored Monkey, 60 months to support. Hey, thank you, X, for so many years of entertainment. 6 or 7 since I first started watching. Being in this community has changed my life. Love to hear it, my dude. That's awesome. Thank you so much for your continued support. It's amazing. It's amazing. Thank you. I always start eating healthier and just generally have less cravings when I'm having more time from creative outputs. I guess it's because I don't need to seek dopamine or whatever from food. That's a really interesting way of looking at it, Winged Bulb. You might be absolutely right. For me, creativity is probably a form of dopamine, and yeah, you don't need it from other places as much. Fascinating. Fascinating take on it. I like that. What hermit do you miss playing with? Biffa. I miss Biffa. Typically, Thomas says, I know you don't say these things to get us to do anything and just discussing your own habits, but you're inspiring me to do a bit better, says Typically Thomas. That is what I hope to do with these things, right? Like, I certainly don't say it in a way like, hey, you need to do this. No one wants to be told what to do. But like, if your ears are open to just hearing what other people are up to and what works for them. But yeah, no, I totally hope it inspires and gives you some ideas yourself. But like, I'm doing the same thing. I like seek out this stuff by listening to podcasts and forms of edutainment. I'm always trying to like hear ideas that you can sort of act upon and just have a better life because of it, I guess. And you pick up so many things from all sorts of places, but then I come here and I sort of regurgitate my experience of those ideas and how I've managed to make them work for me or whatever, you know. And hopefully, another thing, hopefully you notice, like, I hope I do a good job of, like, getting these ideas right as well. Because there's a lot of... there's a lot of this out there where... Sorry if clearing my throat is annoying. I just realised sometimes I hate hearing that in a video, but, like, that's just a human thing, really, isn't it? Hopefully I get this right. I do my very best to try and get this right, but there could be like pseudoscience out there that's not actually that helpful, and people selling you stuff. Like I think there's a good sign of like maybe something that's problematic is like someone's trying to give you a solution to your problem, and it doesn't mean you have to really do anything, right? It's just like, hey, buy this thing, it will solve all your problems. Like that's usually a red flag for me. So like with a lot of these things, I try and think about that. I also try and think about how individualized a lot of things are with health and nutrition and whatnot. Like not everyone is the same, and so we'll have different experiences with this stuff. But I try and, from what I've experienced and listened to, try and find that kind of like universality to these sorts of things. And you know, I think there's a lot of agreement among people these days that stuff like the sugary drinks really are terrible. So there isn't like much of a debate around that, it seems. I'm not sure I actually needed the prismarine, right? Did we stock that up? Prismarine's good. Prismarine's good. Okay, so that leaves us with our bulk materials, and then we leave this place for now, and we're all stocked up for the hermits. More water to clear throat. Yeah, I'll have another sip. Why not? Hex, have you ever fixated on perpetual growth when it comes to viewers and subscriber counts during your time on YouTube? What a great question. I feel like that now is a good time to talk about that. And by now, I mean this stream and not actually this second. But yeah, let's hold on to that question. And we've also got a question about the current state of the game and development cycle. Do you find it disappointing? Do you find it good? You know, I've talked about that a lot lately, and I think I've gone from being critical in the past and potentially like critical of the developers to then learning a lot more about development itself and realizing I don't actually know that much and should probably oh look, we never actually fully filled that box up, so that will go in there. Yeah, so then my attitude kind of shifted to like learning more about development and realizing like it's far more helpful to support the developers than it is to critique them, as a lot of people do, because a lot of those critiques seem to be rooted in ignorance of how things work sometimes. So for quite a while I've been really supportive of Mojang and the way the game was going. But I think with 1.19 and 20 and parts of that being from technically what was 1.17, it feels like, I don't know, something feels wrong. And it's hard to put your finger on where. I don't think it's the developers. I think it's just the environment around the game perhaps has constrained the sort of freedom to do great and interesting things with it. Like my marketing video was about how it feels like the marketing and the game development is more coordinated, and therefore it sort of affects the quality of the game, right? Like they got these deadlines, and then they got to hit these marketing beats with like having things in it that appeal to certain audiences. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting from a lot. So I feel like it'll be okay if they can turn it around at this point. 1.20 was kind of disappointing, but like let's see what's next. Let's see if they can fit together some ideas that really get people excited. I don't think I'll be surprised if that's not the case. I've just realised that there's a barrel above here for more stock. I kind of missed that one last time. Although it doesn't look like any of them have actually got that more stock in it. Right, there's one more element here that I'm looking for, which is the name. So gold ingots is golden. And the idea here is that you get a nice fancy renamed box as well. Which one is it that one? Format name, yep. So we want bold, and then we want something, I think it was like that one. Yeah, that looks right. Gold ingot over here. The critique of the villager trading changes from the community seems to be better quality. Being seen more of players suggesting why it doesn't work or alternatives instead of just update bad, says to Beard. Yeah, I've definitely seen really good quality engagement on that front, but I've also seen the opposite as well. Like, it's always a mixed bag. You can see both because it's always out there. But I read my comments and sometimes I just sort of shake my head. I had one that was like, Mojang hates us. What did it say? It said, I literally can't get any book I want now. And I thought, are you thinking about that right? Because before, you used to have to gamble over and over again, refresh the trades of the villager to hopefully get the trade you're looking for. Whereas now, you can actually go, alright, I need this book, so I need to be in this biome and find a village, and then I can get that trade pretty reasonably. I do think like that knee-jerk reaction, the change, and then you try and like extremify your reasoning, it's just it falls apart a lot of the time. Is it me, or did that icon? What the heck? I think I know what's going on here. I think, do you know all those resource packs I talked about earlier? There's still some weird scaling. I don't know what's going on. But look at that. Even the color of the box changes. What the heck? Okay, that's got to be noted. I'm actually gonna forward that right now. Actually no, maybe I won't. I was thinking I could just take a screenshot while I'm streaming, but I need to think about what's going on there a little bit more first. But it is just like, it's hacky, right? So you're gonna see these weird inconsistencies. But the ultimate goal is hopefully we can get it all consistent and figured out eventually. Right, so nether bricks are now stocked up. Right, so we had a great question about YouTube and chasing growth and all this kind of stuff. We're going to get back to that in a bit. What I'm going to do right now, though, is take a break. But hey, don't go anywhere because I've got something interesting to share with you. I'm going to nip to the loo in a second and put on the Be Right Back screen. Now, where are we in this playlist? Okay. Right, so I'm going to play you a song, or I call it a demo because it really is, it's like not supposed to be a song that I would write. It's like an exercise in creativity and learning, and then, okay, it got to this point where it kind of feels like a whole thing. It was inspired by Rune Realms, the music that we've been listening to. If you wish to listen to the song, it's on YouTube. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it on Spotify and stuff straight away. I might wait until there's a few more of these demos and put them together in a little collection. Anyway, I'm going to put that song on now. I'm going to nip to the loo and y'all can enjoy it. Right, I'm back, and there's more of the song, so it'll just continue to play in the background, you know, but just putting a bit of a spotlight on it for a moment. Riff Raff loves the music. Glad to hear it. Peeps are saying, welcome back, thank you so much. You're so polite. Appreciate the welcome backs. Where are we heading next? To the ends dimension, actually. Background music, says Luna the Dragon. I think this song actually ended up being a bit of a halfway between background and foreground kind of song. I wasn't really like, I never actually had a vision for this song. It was an exercise in like, okay, I love this Rune Realms music, and I've found the composition and the sort of that I'm trying to think of a word, but I can't quite think of it. So like, let's say we use aggression, like the aggression of the instruments. Totally not the right word, but you know, like the way the instruments are set up, their intensity is probably the better word, is so interesting to me. It found this really like beautiful space where the instruments felt more scenic, as opposed to saying ambient. Just those Rune Realms songs, they feel like they paint a sort of scene, a sort of place, and that can be quite difficult to achieve unless you've figured out how to do that with instruments. So that was sort of my starting point, and I don't think I really ended up there because it was an exercise in not only that, but music theory and just getting to grips with FL Studio again, and just trying to learn and put things together. Like, I've created this setup on my iPad where I put FL Studio shortcuts on. But like, each time I learn a shortcut, it's like a thing to learn as well. Like, I now know how to like edit the velocity of all my instruments in a piano roll with a hotkey, and then that unleashes a bunch of creativity of like how you can manipulate that. So anyway, it's all been built out of like little learning exercises essentially. There was a job on my list to come here and tidy up. Ah, okay. Did I put them over here, or did someone else must have moved them? Someone else must have been like, why are these here? You know, let's get rid of them. A few empty boxes. Pink dye? Oh, the name overrides the contents. Should probably then put these in over here. Oh, same thing again with that one actually. Probably with a few of them. Huh. Yeah, one of my jobs is to tidy this up, so we'll take this back. Probably my favourite bit of the song is that little closing composition. But I could pick apart my own music and tell you all the things that don't feel right about it, and all the things that do as well. But like, the reason it's a demo is just because it was an activity in creation as opposed to like having a song and getting that vision all put together, which is what my Soulside Eclipse album is more like. It's more like visions and expressing emotions and like having the tools at the time to like take what I wanted to do from start to end. That demo is a exercise in the creativity, and I'll continue to do them because I'll be building up the tools as I put them together and learn how to do things. I've learned so much in the past month or two that I've been doing this. And then different exercises will focus on different things. So one of the ones I wanted to focus on was using automation more, which is where you take something like a volume slider and tie it in to the song. But you could also do things like take a dial in a synth that's like hooked up to an oscillator and sort of change the sound of the synth through the automation clip. So I'll just keep like going through one thing after another and using it all to learn. And one of the other projects that I've been working on that I think I'm going to take to... I'll tell you what I think I'm going to take to these demos that I'm going to put together. So one of them is a synthwave song that I've just managed to bring together some instruments that sound really good, and I'm going to see if I can like find the right sort of tone to do a synthwave type thing. And I've got, you know, a few things together, but what they tend to start out as is just like a mishmash of ideas. So I'll like throw together like 4 or 5 instruments and some drums, and then create like something that you can kind of loop, right? And it's, oh, that sounds good. Then I'll go create another one. And like, some of them will sound good going from one to the next, and some not so much. God, I really am just waffling on non-stop about this stuff. I just find it, I just love doing it. I just sit there, like I usually stand when I do my music. I'll just be like stood there for ages. Okay, let's just call it shulker box. I don't know. Oh, then it puts a shulker on it. was going to call it shulker. Yeah, so I'll just be stood there for ages, like listening to these loops over and over again, and then eventually I'll like elaborate on the ideas and yada yada yada. I don't know, it's a whole process. It's kind of tricky to describe, but that's what I've been doing. I got another one that's like a sort of like a drum and bass, like a dark drum and bass, sort of dark ambient thing, and then I've got one that's like a, how would I describe it? Bit of like a quirky kind of lo-fi. Not like lo-fi is so broad. It's like, I guess actually a good reference point would be Xisuma, whose name I've never been too sure how to correctly pronounce and pronounced many different times. But like a lo-fi version of that, that's like this sort of quirky, calmy, innocent kind of music. And that one I really want to finish, because when I was making it, it kind of felt like it might be something that suits Hermitcraft in a way. Like a little song we could put on here or something. But I was also experimenting with like odd drums on that. Like the drums are written on like a 7 out of 8 bar and they're like off kilter and stuff. I love doing that, just like finding two little ideas that fit together and seeing how far it goes. So for that song, that was kind of the idea there. Right, we've got to go to the end dimension next. Anyhoozle, without being able to show you stuff, it's like, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's a weird one to sort of talk about, because it's like this process, this creative process that I'm in, and I'm using all of these tools, and I'm in FL Studio, and like it's just a weird thing to try and like describe what all of that is. We had a really cool question, by the way, before I took a little break there. Does anyone remember what it was or how it was worded? I remember that it was about chasing success on YouTube. I think that's probably a good summarization of that question, but if you're still there in chat and you want to share it again, that'd be cool. Would you consider doing a Fruity Loop stream, says S1W? Probably not. I don't know, it's like, it just feels like a very personal time and space. Not like I don't want to sit and talk when I do that stuff. I don't want to explain what I'm doing. That makes sense. I just kind of want to be in that moment. And also, a lot of that moment, at the moment, because I'm slow with it, is like just listening to this one loop over and over again, while I'm like tweaking stuff and working on settings and prepping a bunch of things to make the next loop. And I think it would, as a viewer, it would just be really quite droning just to hear this sound over and over again. Like the song that you just listened to, by the way, that I made the demo, that took me about 8 hours in total, I think. And a lot of that was just listening to the loop over and over again, right? It might have been a little more than 8. I don't know. It was around 8. I was actually tracking it quite closely in the beginning, because I had like these segments of time, and it was like, okay, let's, like that was 2 hours, then it was 2 hours again, then it was like half an hour, half an hour, and then I think probably 2 hours yesterday. So like, I kept track of those chunks of time just out of curiosity to see how long it would, you know. X, when did you start creating music? Back, like as far back as 2003. I think I've got like guitar recordings and like, and these are not good, by the way. Like back then they were just ugh, but it was like the excitement of getting into this stuff. Yeah, as far back as them, really. Wait, where is? But how do you just sit down and create music? I wanted to for a while. I definitely need to learn guitar and music notes in general better. Kind of skipping class and school right now, but I've never really got into it. Yeah, like, it's just an act of doing. You have to do the creative thing, which is to, like, just play notes and see where they lead you, right? Then everything else about learning about the instruments, learning about scales or whatever else, they're all like tools that then aid you. So you're just informing yourself, you're just giving yourself more knowledge, and then when you go to do that creative thing again, you've got all these ideas, like you can navigate it better, you've got more information. So yeah, it's really always just about doing. Hey X, I've wondered if you've ever fixated on perpetual growth when it comes to YouTube, says IQ Prof. Yeah, that was right. That was IQ with the original question, I believe. I don't think fixated is quite the right word, but I've definitely been very obsessed at times about success on YouTube, and like I have definitely oriented what I do on YouTube towards being successful on it, and I've done that with varying degrees of success and sometimes not. I'm currently at a point right now though where I'm just done with it. I feel like YouTube has put particular metrics in front of you, and also like YouTube itself has really shifted and changed, especially since Shorts has come along. And I'm kind of at a point now where I feel like I really did that grind and like went far with it, and have had just an amazing story now, like to me, to look back on all of what I've done and had fun with. And I think I've just lost the drive that YouTube is like the primary motivator. It's not like that now. It's more like, what am I experiencing day to day? What am I doing with my time has become the more important factor. And because of that, I just am not as motivated to play the YouTube game. I'm still trying to do things smart and stay in that game, obviously, right? But like now it's more about like, what am I doing with my time? And when I focus on that metric, I feel like I'm in a really good like mental space because of it. As you heard, the song that I created today, that's come out of, shared with you today, that's come out of focusing on quality of time. Because now I know, like, hey, I need to make music. It makes me feel better. And now that I've done that for a couple of months, like first it started with getting the album out there, and that just kind of let me know this still just means the absolute world to you. And now I just have to sort of follow through on that, and like really take up this opportunity to carve out time to do the music. So I'm kind of done with that whole YouTube game. I'll still make videos that do well on YouTube, if you like, or play the YouTube algorithm game, or however you want to look at it, but they'll come from a place of like, this is what I want to do with my time. And I think for the most part that's been true in the past too, when I've been playing the YouTube game. Like when my ambition was more about like, this YouTube thing is happening right now, I want to succeed at it, and I feel like I've done that. Maybe like I've achieved that. Like the peak of all of that was probably season 7, but like leading up to that, there were just so many like step ups and successes where I got better at making videos, and then you would see that come back to you in viewership, and you know, really pushed myself far with that stuff to a point where it's like I don't really feel like I've got anything left to prove, right? So now maybe my mind's like free to focus on other things like the music and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I also feel like maybe it's become unhealthier too. Like I actually feel a bit, I don't know, I feel like maybe I caught like the golden era to do the YouTube thing, because now it's been like, it's really super competitive. I've noticed that a lot of content has started to give me this similar vibe of, I don't want to say competing for my attention, but I feel like that's become quite apparent. Like there's a lot of people, like when you become a YouTuber, you have to do something. You have to find an audience and create a niche, and then you have to do that thing over and over again. Can you think of any YouTubers that will just drop videos that are dynamically different every time they drop it, right? if your answer is yeah, I would either think they're probably not very big, they're probably niche, or maybe the way I worded my question wasn't quite right. Like, there's no, that I'm aware of, there's no like Casey Neistats that every video they drop is just, it just feels different, right? Like, I'm not saying like they just do vlogs, I mean like they could just do a video about anything. Everyone gets like put into these lanes, and then it's very hard to break out of a lane. You rarely see people do big transitions. There's been some people that have been able to do this one thing and then transition to something else. And the result of that, I think, is that when you find a niche on YouTube and you get success, you sort of stay in that lane, and then your content becomes kind of like a cycle. And so a lot of channels that I've followed over the years, I've just sort of noticed, it feels like over this last maybe year or two, that it's become a little predictable or expectant. Like, you keep just getting those videos in that style, right? And then when you find a new creator, they're just exploring this niche to no depth. Is any of what I'm saying making any sense to anyone? These ideas are not well thought out. Often YouTubers who want to take a different direction just make a secondary channel, says Visions. Yeah, that's actually a good point. That's a very good point. There are plenty of YouTubers who do very different stuff on a second channel. Yeah. And sometimes, I guess, maybe those second channels have taken off and become the primary thing. That's a really good point. See, I don't feel like I have anything else that's like a passion that fits the YouTube format. I think that's fine as well. For the longest time, I think I was really trying to make something else on YouTube. But now maybe I realise it's just because I've played that game. Thanks for sharing, X. I feel like so many YouTubers today put out as much content as possible to compete for our attention, especially with shorts. Once you've viewed a particular genre of video once, you'll start seeing 1,000 others doing the same thing. Yes, there's definitely that. I wouldn't say people are putting out as much content as possible. I think maybe you've touched on it, is that like there are types of content, and once you start watching it, YouTube gives you all the other stuff like it, and then you realise that like everyone's competing over that attention space. I've noticed it with these like think piece videos and thoughty videos, is that there's like, I've been really into it for a while, and then I've just noticed you can kind of find like videos of any topic just being ridiculously overanalyzed, basically, like to no extent. And what was it I put? I like, YouTube recommended a video related to The Simpsons to me on my telly. So my telly gives me like a separate experience because it's not linked to my account. So I tend to like see YouTube in a different light on my telly because it just puts a load of different stuff in front of me. And I've become really quite bored with all of what it's offering because it's the same sort of like deep diving on niches over and over again. So I like watched a video about like why The Simpsons has sort of become tired and how the new seasons compared to the old, and then it just starts giving me loads of videos just like that, right? And that's where I get this weird feeling from, where it's like, oh my god, like if you want to do a deep dive on why The Simpsons doesn't feel like it used to, there's just so many videos about that. Right, there's just so many of them, and they've all got like quite similar formats and stuff, and you just realize it's just this YouTube engine will just find this thing that you're into and pump loads of it out. I don't get it, honestly. There shouldn't be anything to prove, just to do. You can try new things. I know the algorithm isn't very forgiving, but still, nice to maybe, as a content creator, sometimes. It's a very underrated thing. It's a hard job, says Light Soul. Well, for me, it's a case of I don't have anything different to offer, really, right? Like, there isn't some like burning idea that makes sense as a YouTube video in my head. So I definitely could do other things on YouTube. Like some of these waffles that we do on stream, I could like make that into content, right? That's the thing, everything's content now. You know, that's kind of how YouTube works, everything's content. maybe that's the problem. It's like these ideas that you could make and do YouTube videos as, they're not like artistic or expressive anymore because YouTube is just content all the time, right? Anyway, so like, I just don't have anything that I need to go make a video about, it feels like, right? But as times change, maybe at some point I'll get to a spot where I feel like I will. Because right now, my brain is scratching like another creative itch, which I don't like doing this because I do it every now and then. Where I'm like, hey, I'm working on this thing behind the scenes. One day you'll see it. And it's like, this year, I said that a couple of times and you got to see it was my album, right? And then next year, you'll probably see a few more things. But like, it's time away. But once those itches are scratched, I wouldn't be surprised if some other itch emerged. And maybe I then go and make a YouTube video as a result of that. But these other itches that I'm scratching, they're not that. Yes, you do, X. Being yourself is the best thing you have to offer that others cannot. I've come to the same conclusion that I enjoy YouTube the most for who do things out of passion and purely not out of the YouTube game, like EFO, for example. Yeah. Yeah, you're totally right. That's I'm trying to like pivot myself more into that like passion first, which is like tomorrow's video. In fact, the last 2 episodes of Hermitcraft, passion projects. The next episode, passion project. And then the next 3 after that will just be passion projects, right? And I'm also now, I'm thinking I'm going to start to like strip out the 20-minute format of a Hermitcraft video. Because it was about like playing on Hermitcraft and being part of like the regular experience that sort of shifted it into like, here's your 20-minute slice of Hermitcraft since you last saw one, right? And that format makes sense, but just not right now. Like, I feel like next season it will probably drop back into something like that. But as of right now, it's just not that. It's end season, all the farms are built. It's like, what am I going to do at the end game? Like, what are my end game projects? Well, that's what my videos are going to be about now. They're just going to be about my end game projects, right? They happen to be 20 minutes, cool. But otherwise, it's like, I'm just going to make it as long as it needs to be for what I'm showing you. Which is why my next episode is shorter than 20 minutes, because it didn't need to be any longer, right? And there was stuff that I cut from that episode where I could have left it in, maybe, and it might have been closer to 20 minutes, but I was like, no, I'm really going to like hit the nail on the head with what I'm doing. Just narrow in and focus on that. And that feels right. And I want to keep like following this this sort of mindset when it comes to creating content at the moment. And if it, you know, if views go down and yada yada yada, I'm kind of done with it. I'm really just over it. It's like, I've had YouTuber brain for so long, I think I've gotten sick of it. You know? It's not just lows, it's highs as well. I tell you what, like, I've seen, you know, astonishing numbers as well as 10 out of 10s. You hear YouTubers talk about that, right? Like, I've seen numbers in front of me that give you little highs, like, oh my god, everything's going so well. It just goes up and down. It's like, make the measure of your daily experience and the quality of your life the main focus here, because that YouTube number game just keeps going up and down and up and down, and like, probably going to be here in another 5 years still doing this the way it looks, but like, do I want to spend that 5 years worrying about those numbers that YouTube shoves in front of me, or shall I just crack on with it and keep doing what I do? Okay, that's that entire column there done. Let's read more chat. I'm just waffling so hard here. As people play the mini games, there are often longer videos to show the whole gameplay. I really love these, says Princess Aurora Plays. I'm glad you do. I'm glad you do. It harpens back to like a bit more of an old school era in Minecraft, where long play videos and mini games were way more common. So it's nice to see people still enjoy that, you know. Yep, Ramble X is online, says Light Soul. I ramble a lot, but yeah, definitely. Don't look at numbers and make great content, says Merkdolf. Yeah, I look at numbers a lot less, and I feel like I might be ready to I've already put on some plugins that like block out certain YouTube things, but I think I might go like a step further and just get rid of the numbers on my videos and just continue doing what I do. I think it'd be a really great experiment to run, just to do it for a while. And then maybe like half a year later, you come back and look at the numbers and ask yourself what it meant. Because you'll probably find, you're here in half a year, like, when do those numbers ever really help you? They don't like change what you're doing. It's not like, oh, this video had this, therefore I got to change everything now, you know. To be fair though, like you can actually get feedback. Like if you've got a feeling in your head like, I rushed that video, or I didn't quite do that thing the way I wanted to, and then you see like signs or signals in your metrics that, yeah, maybe you should have done that. Like I've definitely done that in the past, and it's been helpful, but it just doesn't make sense right now. It just doesn't make sense. That is all of the copper crafted up. I didn't bring the shulker boxes with me, did I? So I'll have to craft an additional 5. This up here can get chopped up. And then I think we want a 6th one for the drowned heads. Which one is it? It is that one. Why am I so blind all of a sudden? So about 6 of these. Nope, did it wrong. 12 of them. Crafting bench. Nice. So, as we put these things into there, by the way, like, check it out. Bam! You are now copper. I wish someone uploaded the convos while we were filling in the perimeter. Yeah, not all conversations are for the audience to hear between hermits, right? We were talking about some serious things during, as well as light-hearted stuff in between as well, but yeah. Not all conversations we have are for everyone else to hear. If you're enjoying the process, it is likely that it will come through. I would rather a 10-minute video of someone that they enjoy creating than a 20-minute that feels forced. Exactly, yeah. It's just on occasion I found myself like maybe a bit pressed for time, or sort of adding in a bunch of stuff that maybe doesn't really like fit the rest of the video, just to kind of make up that time. And it's never really been too forced, because there's always like a list of stuff going on. But I don't think it ultimately serves like what's the best video, right? I don't think it serves that. Oh, this was closer to 6 then, was it? Dang, I mathed wrong. Let's put that there. And we've got room for 2 more. Yep, something wrong with the player head. That's fine. Need to get that fixed somehow. There might be a way to fix it where it actually displays like the MBT data. That would probably have to be done at the modded level. So there's certain aspects of this that are resource pack level and others that are mod level. I don't know where the limitations start and end really, so. Alright. We had to do crafting. We've done crafting. I think we're going to go do an experiment next. Oh, I've just realised my experiment... Okay, actually, no, we're going to be saved. My experiment requires something I thought I didn't have, but then I remember I do have it. Hopefully, let's go find out. Kind of different topic. You excited for Decked Out? Absolutely, man. Like, Tango has been working on that all season long, and I hope that when we all come and play it, that he gets what he wants out of that, because I had a little bit of an experience of that myself. I think as an outsider, like, looking on, sometimes I wonder, like, what is in this for Tango, man? He's done all this hard work, and then we play his game. But when I saw people playing Tunnel Rats, I just had a really warm experience. Probably one that I didn't even think about this at the time, but I probably had this experience before, but it's just a long time ago with like Gold Rush and Point Runner. It's been a long time since I've done mini games, right? At least on that level. I've done a few things here and there. But yeah, I got that warm feeling watching everyone play. Where am I going? Am I going to the right place? I am. I'm going to the right place. I had to stop and think. People who see the chat but aren't saying anything, please come and chat with us. I need more people to annoy, says Luna the Dragon. Why are you trying to annoy people, man? Jeez, isn't it nicer to help people and... Can't we all get along? Oh, peace and love, man. Peace and love. Oh, X, you're... I've got a joke in my head, but I can't quite find the words for it. And it's annoying because I know I've done this joke before. Oh, whatever. Whatever. Tango is super excited just to watch Hermit's plays decked out. Yeah, that's what I realised with Tunnel Rats. And, you know, like, you're making that game because you want to see people play it, right? So for Tango, it's like... That's a huge thing. Now, last time I set these copper aging ones here up, they actually came out and a lot of them hadn't been honeycombed and they aged further. And I was like, I remember running this thing and it was fine, so what's happened? Anyway, it hasn't happened again, which is kind of weird. Wait, where am I looking for the blocks? Okay. Is it me? Or is most of these fully aged and have not been pushed out? That's super weird. Okay, let's come back to the beginning. So, like... Oh! They aged too far, actually. Okay, so you don't have one? So... Now, you should be pushed out. Oh, my God. I don't know what's going on with this one. I think I'll... Oh... Wait. What are we looking... Hang on, what are we looking at here? Something is deeply wrong here. It looks to me like maybe what happened was some blocks were... I don't know, maybe not cleared out from last time? And then they got... Ugh, this is horribly messed up. David is broken, says Sky Cloud. A portion of David, a small portion of David is broken. Correction, correction. Yeah, let's come in here and reset the machine. That being said, maybe not actually. Maybe not. I want to be a bit conscious of time here. Because I don't know how long my experiment's going to take me. What we need to do is get ourselves some aged blocks. I should probably replace these in the process. And let me tell you the premise. This is something I'm going to do in an episode. So my next episode, when I make it, will be about something else. But I want to do this little experiment in it. This is thanks to one of Fruno's videos, which... the thing that I saw in his video, I'm not sure if I understood it correctly, because I was cooking at the time. And there was also like a lot of technical information with this too. But there's potentially a way to age copper that is perhaps like quicker in some respect and easier than all of this setup right here. Did I just mine all of these blocks on this side? I feel like I didn't, but I must have done. So if you look at the rate of mining and breaking blocks here, it involves a lot of other stuff at the same time, like moving around. It's really not as bad as I thought it would be. But there's a little bit of like in-between time where you're not just straight mining blocks. I'm already starting to think that there's probably not going to be too much of a big difference in this experiment. So the idea is that you lay out a big platform of this stuff, and you put that stuff on top of it, and it'll age like at a speed that isn't going to be as fast as doing it this way. But the point would be, if it can get done in a certain amount of time and you can AFK for that amount of time, then maybe it's the better way to go. So let's say on average that these got aged in 2 hours, right? And that really suits your play style. You know, you can pop on every 2 hours and replace all the blocks. Great. But let's say you AFK overnight for 8 hours. Then maybe you could age more blocks without one of these machines, because you're away for longer. They have more time to age. So it's kind of a way of looking at it based on like what's the speed of placing and breaking blocks, right? Like, it is a little slow when you got to stop and move back and forth and press buttons. I will say though, it doesn't feel like it's terribly slow. But yeah, if you go in AFK for 8 hours, and the difference could be that you just continuously place and continuously mine, it might be easier to actually get a larger amount of blocks converted. So I wanted to run that little experiment on this stream. And then if it's a success or worth talking about, I'll probably do it again for an episode. David, 5.0 could incorporate a TNT duper to break the blocks and store them once they're done. That would be amazing. Yeah, that would be really awesome. Then you would struggle like with the argument that I just put forth, or it wasn't really an argument, but like a thought on the workflow. If you're like doing very little movement in between placing blocks and then them getting blown up with TNT, yeah, it's a hard one. Whoa, did I already send that out? Jeez. Well, actually, there was no flying machine there to press a button on, so not an issue. That was not a derp, peeps. Fiends! Absolute fiends! If I had have sent off the flying machine and broke something, then it would have been a derp, but no. Fiends. Absolute fiends. Do you see them in my chat with little derp faces? These people are derp fiends. They can't get enough. They itching. They waiting. Every single stream. Did he just place that block in the... Oh, look, the block is in the wrong place. Derp. Give me that derp, I mean. Just joined. What's happening to the copper blocks once you press the button? Great question. They are being sent out by a flying machine into individual spots where they are at a sufficient distance away from any other copper block that they will age as fast as possible. And then their aging will be counted by the machine, and they'll be pushed back out, ready to be collected by the flying machine, which brings them back out when all the blocks have aged. Redstone! Did I not press the button on the opposite side? Okay, so this worries me. My workflow here is a bit erratic. Apollo is scared, says I'm so lost. Tell me where I lost you, and I'll try and fill you in. Personal copper hot tub. Is it a hot tub? Guys, I went to meet a cute little puppy this morning. Ah, a cute little pupper. There are fully automatic copper converters hooked up to blast chambers that auto-utilize copper being right next to already oxidized copper to greatly increase compactness, says Maurice. Yeah, that's cubic meters design, right? The issue that I have with those contraptions is that they're kind of at that that sort of like pro level Minecraft, and also it's like if you have one thing wrong somewhere, everything breaks. At least it gives me the impression it's like that. I loved this contraption that Pixel built so much because it reminded me of old school Redstone. The Psycraft kind of crowd's approach to Redstone is amazing, totally not knocking it, but it feels like it becomes sort of out of reach of someone like myself who's not as smart. And so I really like contraptions that are a bit more old school, because the first redstone contraptions, for a long time, it wasn't like all that Psycraft stuff. And I used to be a part of the community then, making contraptions and things. And a lot of my old videos are just like, I've done it again, redstone tutorials on little contraptions and stuff, but they don't go to that extreme. And I think if you're a player like me, when you go to that extreme, none of it's you. It's just some other crazy contraption, right? And like none of this is mine, right? But when Pixel made this, it made me realize that I never looked at these blocks from a lower tech perspective and thought about how you could turn it into a contraption. If I had done, I think, not saying I would have come up with this, but just like, this is probably within my range of capability. And over here, we actually went and modified this contraption to do the different stages of aging as well, which was really, really fun to be able to come and do that. But if this were like a sci-fi level contraption, sci-fi? Psycraft. I just wouldn't have been able to touch it. So I kind of really like this level of tech right here. And it's kind of a thing I want to try and carry into future seasons, is to try and like look at redstone on your own level. You don't always have to go build those best possible contraptions, because you know you maybe lose something there if you do that. Next time you send off a row, can you show us the overhead view? Yep, let's do that. So the flying machine is just flying and pushing blocks, and the contraptions on either side are seeing those blocks arrive with the observer and then pulling them back. Okay? And then when the flying machine gets to the end, it doesn't have any more blocks, right? Let's go back a little bit. Any have aged yet? We got 1, 2 aged over here. So as they age, that'll get picked up here. So you have a counting system. So when it's fully aged, it sends out a signal, right? It doesn't actually do anything. I think it changes the pistons a little bit, but it doesn't do anything to the flying machine until all of them have put out that signal. So you look at the comparator there. That'll be turned on when this thing is fully aged, and therefore this torch turns off. And all of these right here are one big AND gate, which means... Actually, AND gate might not be the right term, but let's say it's like an accumulation of all the signals. So it's only when every single signal turns off that this here turns off, and then that activates the flying machine again. Right? And then it comes back, and all the blocks have been pushed out, and it puts them back at the middle here. That's how that works. Right, now the next question is, where do I AFK? I tend to AFK in my storage area. And where do I have space to run a big old experiment with, let's see. I would like to go put some of that in the shop, but I think I'll go for 4 stacks. 4 stacks of copper. So that's going to be, what does this divide down into? Like, is it 16? 16 by 6, so like 32 by 32 space. And I think if you're loading an area, vertically it's not a problem. So I'm going to be somewhere around here where I'm super safe to AFK. Maybe I could use my, oh god. Oh wow, gosh. Oh, my voice totally got tickled too much then. Maybe we could use this space down here. Yeah, let's use this space. It's currently unused, so it'd be cool to put something in there. I've listened to the new music on Soulside Eclipse YouTube channel. It's absolutely amazing, says Duslow. Thank you for the lovely message, my dude. Glad you enjoyed it. Van here says, I kind of agree with that redstone. It's a combination of smaller, more manageable modules so one can follow. I think so are the Psycraft type contraptions too. Like every redstone contraption isn't a does it all in one. Like they are always made out of smaller parts. Those smaller parts are just
really difficult to understand sometimes, right? That's kind of the issue. Alright, so I'm not going to measure it too much, but from about... Let's use one stack first of all. Wait, I think it's 8 by 8. Yeah, so it's got to be 16 by 16, I think. So, hang on a second, let's think about that. No, I'm moving all the blocks wrong. Right, I think the actual size of this area with 4 stacks is 16 by 16. Oh, and do you know what? We're then going to need to probably put, like, light sources on top of it too. Making your own farms is way more satisfying than following a tutorial, says 1SW. It really is. It really is. I've got a couple of ideas on the list. One that it's not mine, but I saw it. And I've since forgotten the details of how it's put together, but I was like, I have to do that at some point. Which was to make a sheep farm that uses bone meal to regrow the grass. I was just like, oh, that's so different. Like, you don't normally think that way. And my hope is going forwards to, by taking the pressure off to create content these days, like, doing things more as I feel like it, I'm hoping I'll get into that space where it's like I get to look at the game again differently. And be less on that treadmill of like, oh, Hermitcraft episode, let's build some farms. And more like, investigating the game again. I want to find that curiosity, and I think 1.20 showed me that a little bit, because there wasn't any of that. There wasn't any stuff in it that felt like it really invented any aspect of the game. So when an update brings that, you get to look at stuff fresh again. You get to be like, oh, how can we use the target block now, because it does this with redstone and you can interact with it with arrows, right? I've been messing around with the calibrated sculk sensor, and I found a really killer use for it. And I'm pretty sure if I made a video, it would just like flop on YouTube the way it works these days. It just doesn't fit a format. But I kind of wanted to either like find more sculk uses to make a video, calibrated sculk, or I don't know, find like a presentation format that's... I did not expect to have 2 left over, because we did just do... Maybe one of those stacks was 62? Am I going mad here? Didn't we have 4 stacks? You know what? I thought I had 4 stacks and a bit, but that's waxed weathered copper, so maybe I was just short by 2, which is fine. Anyway, point being, I found something really cool to use the calibrated sculk sensor for. But now it's just a case of like, well, that's probably not going to do well on YouTube. So like, how do I find that YouTube presentation for it? And until I have that idea, I don't know. Again though, like, all this stuff we talked about, how YouTube is and whatnot. See, I'm still playing that game on some level, right? So it's like, what I want to do has got to fit into that game. And then I'll do it. As opposed to like trying to play the game constantly. So I'm not too bothered about this thing that I got, but might share it at some point. Some way, somehow. I don't know. One side is 17. Well, that doesn't make sense, because if I did have 4 stacks and one side was 17, then... And it wasn't, because I deliberately made... When I started going in this direction, I deliberately made it 15, so it would be 16. Oh! No, but the other pile was 16. Ah. And didn't I think I had more than... Oh, I think you sussed it, actually. Wait, okay, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. But I put 16, right? Because I was thinking there's already one there, so add 15. But same for both. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So I did actually have more than those stacks, right? I did actually have more. And then I've tricked myself into thinking, oh, I also had this. That was the extra blocks. No, I had 14 extra blocks. You have solved it. Well done, you. Whose message was that again? Anyway. Sometimes we have messages that are resounding. You know, S message of the stream. That wasn't resounding, but you're the message of the stream. You solved the problem. You had the brain smarts, the eagle eye. You noticed the problem. You solved it. GG. Message of the stream. You know. A decent message of the stream. What was that? Because we had one last stream that was like excellent. I'm a British Kiwi, says Nora. What? I ate a kiwi yesterday. I'm a Brit that eats kiwis. Okay, there you go. Just need some torches up top or glow lichen or something, right? So, the experiment is, if I go AFK for a little while, right, and this all ages, what we can consider is how long does it take for the whole thing to age, and how long is my AFK time. So if it takes like 12 hours, that might not be very practical, but if it's like 8, wait, why am I punching those out? If it's like 8 hours, then that's like an overnight, right? So an overnight AFK. And I could have multiple of these, and it might just be a way faster way to age it. Because its capacity is inherently bigger than David. Although this is actually currently the same. But when these ones age, then I can go set up another one. And we could potentially actually age this entire box of copper within a few days. I don't know. Once we get a bunch of platforms down here, if this works, then, you know, then it works. But I guess it's an experiment. We have to wait and see how it goes. I've also, by the way, I've got a list of things that we needed to do. And actually, all of it is done. Terrific. But there was one thing that I wrote on my list of things to do that doesn't make sense to me now, which was just Nether beacon. And I was like, Nether beacon? Do I have a beacon in the Nether? I don't think so. Am I doing a project in the Nether that I need a beacon for? Does that make sense to anyone? Nether beacon? Have we done something recently in the Nether? I can't think of what it could be. It might be that I left one in and I need to pick it up, but I just don't know. Maybe you put down a beacon in the Nether and retrieve it. That seems likely, but I just can't remember what I was last doing in the Nether, right? Like, no project comes to mind. I didn't do anything for the Nether portal to play the Tunnel Rats game. Netherite beacon time. No, it's not Netherite beacon. Nether bacon. You wanted to kill pigheads. That wasn't it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'll continue to scratch my noggin. I really try to take notes better these days because, yeah, you leave yourself notes like that, and later on you're like, I don't know. Mining obsidian, says Murkdolf. We have no need to mine obsidian. Oh, unless it was ends. Wait, what if I wrote the wrong dimension? What if I wrote? Oh, do you know what? I reckon I wrote the wrong dimension. Oh, you might have sussed it. GG. Let's go find out. You might have sussed it. I think I... Nah, I don't know. Did I clean them up? We'll find out soon enough. I might have cleaned them up. Which of your bases were your favourite? Oh, I don't know. I really, really like the one we did this season. I didn't find the right... Ah, there. That's it. That's what it was. I didn't find the right approach quick enough. Like... I don't like the ribcage and the skull that much. But everything else we did, I really like. And if I'd have gone for that straight away, I could have laid it out in a way where it was like planned for much more stuff. And yeah, it could have been a really good one. But in terms of my favourite, I think the Season 6 storage system that I had. Because I never had a base Season 6, but the storage area is really, really fun. Like, you're always going to need a storage system of some sort, right? End beacon. Yeah, it was the end beacon. And I know why I wrote that note down was because I've got on low on them. If we just pop into here, I've only got like one, which is my filter. So I needed to get those back. And for the iron, I'm just going to leave them there. And if someone else is like, oh, I need to set up a beacon, there's a couple of bases, so that helps. But yeah, Season 2 was another base. What's crazy about Season 2 is that the bit underneath the pyramid, like, I only just got started on that, really. And then, you know, that was kind of it. Because the idea is that you'd have this massive, like, wasteland up above. You fly to the center, you drop down, and underground there's this crazy base. But we never really done that. I love the hub from Season 1. It's my loading screen in Minecraft. So gorgeous with fallen wood. Does look, it's got a bit of a charm to it with those old textures and stuff, right? Got a bit of a charm to it. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up my stream right here, peeps. I hope you've been entertained today. Big thank you to everyone who's subscribed, resubscribed. The peeps gifting subs, y'all are appreciated. Thank you to my mods for helping out and doing what you do. Thanks to all of my Patreons and people in the Discord community. Be on the lookout. I'm hopefully going to be testing some Bed Wars stuff, and y'all will be invited. So yeah, just keep an eye out. I don't know when that's going to happen, but it's something that I want to do. Also, go over to YouTube. Look for Soulside Eclipse. That is my music. This year I put out an album. Yesterday I put out a demo song. If you like what you've been listening to this stream, you'll probably enjoy that song. So I will go look for a channel to Riggedy Raid. Let's see. See what it's going to come up with. Hey, Iskal streaming. That makes it nice and easy. Do you want some Vault Hunters? You didn't get any from me today. Well, this gal's got you covered. Right. There's your raid. And I'm out of here. Take care. The words. Take care, everyone. Have a good day.